streaming service. So I have absolutely no idea if we are live right now or we are not live. I could be talking to myself. You never know. You never know. Please let me know. I think we are going on. Please let me know in the in the chat if we are on. Like I said, I've never used this streaming service before. I am currently using Restream because I want to create a little bit of different to little bit different to what I normally do here, where obviously I talk through. I do my live stream on Streamlabs and whatnot, but this is a brand new podcast I'm going to be creating here that's going to be involving you guys. But I have absolutely no idea if we're streaming live right now. I just kind of clicked it and hoping for the best here, hoping for the best. And I've got a big screen of me here. I don't even necessarily want that. But hey guys, how you going? So today on BKRsport, we're here for In the Sheds. Now, as you guys would have known if you're a long-time follower of BKRsport, I have actually done In the Sheds a couple of times in the past where we get players on and whatnot, and it just kind of hasn't continued. But I want to bring it back here, and I want to create a different style NRL podcast that involves you guys. And I want you guys to, put your comments and your questions down in the comments section, and we all basically just chill out here for the next hour or so and have a chat about rugby league every single week, every single Tuesday night. There'll be obviously the trials this weekend for the next 3 or 4 weeks, so we can chat about. We've got the All-Star game we can talk about, and if you just got any general questions about the NRL or any comments that you want people to see and you want people to talk about, and everyone in the chat can kind of get involved and whatnot, I'm actually going to put it on the screen here so that everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about and exactly what I'm referring to. So yeah, a little bit different to what I normally do. I've never really done this before, so if there are a few hiccups here and there, if things aren't necessarily going to plan, well, then I apologize. But this is the first time here, so I appreciate you. Obviously, just before we get into it as well, I just want to let you know that I will probably think about putting this onto Spotify as well as just an audio only for people who, go on long drives, can't necessarily go on YouTube to watch the full length video each week. But obviously if you want to be involved and comment away and have your questions answered and chat about rugby league, then you kind of have to be here. Yeah, you do. But obviously go and hit that thumbs up button, guys. Subscribe if you're new around here. And let's kind of get into it. So like I said, guys, when you comment, I'm actually going to be putting it on the screen here when I do get to it. But like I said, it could be all over the top. Let me just see if it works here. It does. There we go. Ellie Watson. Hello. There we go. See? Oh, buddy, look at me fly. I'm flying, son. I'm flying. Hello, Ellie Watson. Let's go Creamer. Ella, sir. See, this is cool, lads. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, we are live. Okay, sweet. Yeah, okay, cool. So basically, guys, the first thing that I want to offer here is the fact that, the trials are on this weekend. So the reason why I wanted to start this podcast up now is because we are literally 3 days away now. What is it? Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Friday, we actually have to start of the trials. So we have Friday night action, Saturday action, Sunday action, and also Monday action, which is crazy. Obviously, we haven't had Monday night football in a long time, but with the trials coming up, we've got a plenty of rugby league on this weekend. This rugby starts as well, so it's going to be hectic on this channel. But specifically in regards to the trials, let's go into what's going to be happening this week. So on Friday, February 18, we have the Roosters versus Canberra at Leichhardt Oval at 6 p.m. AEDT. And then also at Leichhardt Oval, there's a 2-game extravaganza between the West Tigers and the Manly Seagulls. So that's going to be interesting. Obviously, you guys don't really look at these games for a result. You're not really meant to be looking at these trial games for a result and really giving a shit too much about what actually the score says in the end. It's more about seeing individual players. I know it's a team game, but it's not about watching the team in trials. It's about watching how these players get on, how these players move and kind of work with the team and just individually speaking can be a bigger player and better player, and also a bit of a warm-up for the big players like a Trbojevic, who you probably won't see a great deal of, but in the same sense, like you just want to see those big-time players get those reps in, the big-time forwards getting those reps in, get those quads moving, baby, and don't necessarily look for a result. If your team loses, who gives a shit? I'm not going to lie to you. Then on Saturday, we go down to Casey Fields in Melbourne. No idea what that is, but that's somewhere. It is definitely somewhere. I can tell you that right now. It is somewhere. 4 p.m. AEDT, Melbourne Storm taking on the New Zealand Warriors. And then we go up to Queensland for the Cowboys taking on the Rabbitohs at 6 p.m. AEDT, 5 p.m. EST at Barlow Park in Cairns. Another place I have no idea, but it definitely is somewhere. Then 7 p.m. AEST, which is 8 p.m. AEDT, the Gold Coast Titans take on the Brisbane Broncos at Cbus Super Stadium. If I was back home on the Gold Coast, I would be going to that one and vlogging it. But even though it's a trial, I would have probably gone. But I am still here in Fiji for the next couple of weeks or so. before I get back to go do my vlogs and whatnot. We still will be streaming, obviously. Then on Sunday, we've got the Panthers versus the Sharkies at Combank Stadium in a doubleheader there with the Eels and St. George Dragons playing after that. So 4 p.m. AEDT, Panthers Sharks, 6 p.m. AEDT is the Eels versus the Dragons at Combank. And then on Monday night, which is great, I'm actually keen as to this. I know I'm not really keen too much of the game. The game actually looks terrible, but McDonald Jones Stadium, 7 p.m. on a Monday night. Like, what else are you doing on damn well Monday night, baby? What else are you damn well doing? So Newcastle Knights, Canterbury Bulldogs at 7 p.m. AEDT there. So yeah, I'm so much looking forward to that one. But let's get into some of your comments here, guys. I'm keen as to talk to footy here and see what you guys have to say. What do we got here? So we've got Big Boy Had saying so pumped, hashtag BKRmy, get around it. Daniel Bates says, oi, oi, Blazo. That's me. I'm here. I'm ready to crack on, ready to rock and roll here. Red Dog here says, up the mighty Warriors. Let's go. It's going to be an interesting season for you guys this year. Look, I'm excited to see what you guys do in the trials, actually, specifically, because obviously we want to see necessarily who is going to be getting that 6th spot alongside Shaun Johnson in the 7. You got Ash Taylor that's fighting for it. You got Chanel Harris-Tavita who's fighting for it. I personally believe that you're going to probably be saying, and also Cody Nikorima is also fighting for it, I guess. But I personally, and he had a pretty decent game. I think he's still the Warriors. But he had a pretty decent game in the All-Stars game that we might speak about in a second, which actually probably should have spoken about first because that's before and the trials are now. But in the same sense, this is our podcast. We do whatever we want, baby. But yeah, Cody Nikorima had a pretty good game in that All-Stars. So maybe we might say, well, it's a three-way tango there. It's going to be interesting to see how the Warriors do go in their halves this year, specifically because the 9 we know is going to be Wade Egan, who is, we haven't done the hooker tier rankings just yet. And the fullback is going to be Reece Walsh, which is, tentative because you don't really know how he's going to go considering the, all the talk from Brisbane media. Now, another thing that I will say to you guys, listen, Brisbane media, if you are young and you don't know, Brisbane media is the worst media on the planet because they are obviously all behind the Broncos. So they're going to talk shit about literally every team. They're going to make you feel like your players aren't wanting to be there and they want to go to the Broncos. They want to make the Brisbane public feel like their team isn't actually worthless right now. And they're not worthless as we currently speak. They have been for the last 2 years. But still, the media is always going to be backing them in, right? So if you're not a Broncos fan, you need to understand what that media does there in Brisbane. Do I necessarily believe that Reece Walsh wants to come back to Queensland? I don't know. It doesn't really matter right now. Until we find out yes or no, factually, it really doesn't really matter overall. But it is a tactic that Brisbane media and Queensland media has used for a very long time in regards to causing a ruckus and causing a bit of stir in a place that, realistically doesn't need it to be happening. But, it is what it is and it's all part of the game. Ollie Wilson says, when are the Warriors playing? I should wait for that to come on the screen there. Warriors are playing on... They're playing... against the Storm, 4 p.m. AEDT at Casey Fields in Melbourne on Saturday. I'll see if I can stream a trial game this week, but obviously it's not really going to be a focus in regards to trial games because I do have enough NRL content coming out with the podcast, with the TM makers, with the drafts that are coming out. We are flat out. So, yeah, no, it's awesome, man. I'm loving it. I can't wait for the vlogs to come back. Ali Watson says, up at the Titans. Boom, boom. I'm keen, Ellie. I'm keen. Creamer says, interactive podcast. Nice. Yeah, look, I just thought it was a bit of a difference. Obviously, there are a lot of podcasts out there that will speak to you about analytics. They'll speak to you about, and that's cool. The podcasts, I listen to all the other podcasts, and I think they're great. But I think there's there's space for you guys to have your say too. It's all well and good. And the good thing is I can select the comments here. So if there's a Muppet in the chat, which there is always a Muppet in the chat, I can easily just skip their comment and the moderators can just time them out and whatnot. So, I think it's beneficial because not all the time, and I never see this, the fans don't usually get a say, right? And people just assume what the fans are saying. So this kind of style podcast here shows that no one can necessarily assume what you're saying and everyone's saying because it's coming up on the screen and you guys can, literally see that somebody sent us that and it wasn't just me making up bullshit. Because on streams and whatnot, if someone says, screw the Titans, I can easily change that around to say, get up at the Titans is what that person said. But now it can't be seen like that. It can't be seen. But yeah, I just want you guys to be involved as much as possible. That's what I do on my channel. Alrighty. Rapid Fire TV says, how do you think the Rabbitohs and Eels will go this year? Oh, wow. Okay, 2 big questions there. Rabbitohs. Okay, firstly, the Rabbitohs, and each week these questions will come up, guys. And you just need to understand that things will change each week too. I'll be held accountable for what I say, but in the same sense, things will change each week. Especially when you're on camera and you're putting your voice out there, people are going to hold on to things and not realize that, look, tomorrow I could have a different opinion. But the Rabbitohs this year, look, it's a really interesting year for every single team, or majority teams. I can pretty much tell you the teams that are going to come bottom four right now. I can. And the Rabbitohs aren't this team. But everyone else, there's so many positives and there's also a lot of negatives that are involved with everyone. So I think this is the most open season in a long time. You can't guarantee the Storm are going to do anything. You can't guarantee the Panthers are going to do it. They could have they're going to be up there, but you can't guarantee they're going to win it again. The Roosters are there. The Eels, I'm actually believing them a lot more than what I previously did. I think their team is actually a lot better than people are giving them credit for. The Rabbitohs, obviously, look, they lose Adam Reynolds. They've got Ilias. He's young. I don't know much about him, at least with Toby Sexton. I've seen Toby Sexton play, at least with AJ Brimson. I've seen him play a little bit there in the 5'8", but I haven't seen it too much there with Ilias there in the 7. He's got Cody Walker, though. But Cody Walker was only recently breaking out. He hasn't been that number one for a very long time. I think it was 2019. Was it? When was he? When did he really have that breakout year? I think he was a late bloomer, Cody Walker. Not many people. I think he was playing for the North Sydney Bears and then broke through. And look, I think the Rabbitohs still have a good team though, man. It's just, can Demetrio get it out of them like Wayne Bennett could get it out of them? Because look at their spine, man. Latrell Mitchell on the fullback. Number 6 is Cody Walker. 7 is Ilias, the only kind of danger there that you don't know about. Could be great. Could not be great. Similar situation to the Titans. But like I said, with Toby Sexton, everyone was backing him in last year and thought he was fantastic. And now, because obviously everyone wants to have their opinion and say the Titans are going to come last again, bottom 4. Anyone who says Titans bottom 4, get out my face. But, everyone's backing Toby Sexton then. And then now it's changing because it's just like last year. But overall, I'm looking forward to seeing what Elias can do in this spine. Because if you're coming into a spine this quality and you don't do well, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. So overall, I think the Rabbitohs will do well. I think the Eels will do better than people are talking about as well. But I'm not giving my actual preview of my specific placings until 1 week before the season starts, like usual. Mitch Rabbitoh says, so are there any new rules this season? Not really, man. There's only one big one, basically. To put it into perspective, it's like if you're coming out of your own 20, the Panthers do this a lot. We spoke about this on the stream the other night, actually, for the All-Stars, but the Panthers do this a lot where they will hold down longer inside your own 20 because it's not really giving you an advantage. So if you're inside your own 20 and the opposition team is holding you down, you'll just get the 6 again. But realistically, it's only 0 or first tackle at that stage. So it really is irrelevant and doesn't really do anything for the attacking team. So now that's turned into a penalty, is what I believe. I don't know if it's in the 20 or the 30. It could be even the 40. I think it's the 20 or 30, just because it disadvantages the attacking team so much. And, that Panthers team in that grand final will just hold down because they knew how much it was giving them an advantage in return. So that's the only rule that I know of specifically. That's the only one that I know of specifically. And if anything else is there, let me know in the comment section. I'll respond to it. Creamer says, why are the Tigers bothering with Luke Brooks? Funny question, that, because I wrote down here, because I noticed today Benji Marshall came out and said that Luke Brooks was going to be halfback of the year this year in the Dally M's, which I found funny. Look, obviously, he's an ex-Tigers player. I believe that he is working with Luke Brooks, so he's always going to back him in there. But, we did the halfbacks tier ranking on the channel here. So if you haven't gone and seen the NRL halfbacks tier ranking with Supercoach 365 that I did it with, we went through and I rank Luke Brooks a lot better than other people do, but I still had him in do the job. I still think, and I had him at the bottom of do the job, and Supercoach 365 had him in the not that great section. And I can understand any argument. I think that you're going to listen to other people out there who will spin you some dribble and talk to you as if like it's still 2018 or 2017 when he won that Dally M halfback of the year, and which was a bit of an odd halfback of the year too, mind you. It wasn't exactly like it was a guaranteed thing that everyone agreed with. But I think Luke Brooks is better than people give him credit for. I think he's been in the Tigers team that is just, it's so hard to read that team week in, week out, man. That year in, year out, they haven't made the finals in 10 years. Like, look, Luke Brooks is definitely a key part as to why they've been as unsuccessful as they are. He is. You can't say he's been there for like what, 6, 7, 8 years. Shit, I don't know, but like he's been there for a long time. And look, there's been transition through so many players, whether it be in the spine or just the coaches, or actually, I don't even know how many. Yeah, to be fair, coaches and I get there's a lot of changes there, but in the same sense, man, like you've got to take a responsibility and accountability for a key position there in the number 7. Because I personally believe that number 7 is actually realistically more important than number 6. I still believe the hooker is the most important position out of all the spine. But because look, if the hooker is going to go left and the halfback's out right, well then the halfback is really irrelevant, isn't he? But in the same sense, the halfback for me is probably the second most pivotal position in that spine, my personal opinion. And he definitely needs to take accountability. So look, I think Luke Brooks is a better player than people give him credit for, but in the same sense, he's definitely not like he was a few years ago. So I think the Tigers, I think they're still latching on to that belief. But Tigers fans still don't realise that, Harry Grant was the only reason they nearly made the 8 last year, or 2 years ago, sorry. 2 years ago, sorry. All right. Oh, geez. Did I put a star on something? I don't even know what that was. I just clicked a star. What does that mean? I don't even know what star means. Well, you're a star, Red Dog, apparently. Red Dog says, looking forward to watching the Dolphins. Well, that's a year away. I'm not thinking too much about that, though. I'm not thinking too much about that one just yet. I don't know. I'm not thinking about that one too much just yet. But in the same sense, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty interesting when the Dolphins come in, because they're going to have a lot of backing behind them. But I think there's a lot of hype there, and it might not go as to plan as people imagine straight away. But it's going to be great nonetheless to add in another team there. Absolutely. By the way, guys, I'm well away from the newest chats, but in the same sense, doing my best here. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Because like I said, I'm here. I'll probably stick around here until it kind of slows down a bit. But I just love talking footy. You guys know that. That's why we do this podcast here every Tuesday. But Josh Plays Cricket says, what is the underweighted signing for? I think you mean underrated signing maybe for 2022. Look, I'm going to be biased here, man. I'm going to be biased here. If you guys don't know, I'm a Titans fan, obviously. I know most of you, everyone here does, but there could be new people around who don't know. But I'm going to tell you Isaac Liu. I'm going to say Isaac Liu. I think that, look, that's for the Titans, because you look at that forward pack and you think Tina Fasa-Malawi, who has become the captain now for the Titans at 21 years of age, for feeders, like 21. Look how crazy he played in that All-Stars game. Who else is there? Look, Jared Wallace is obviously, he's not exactly a young pup anymore. But, you've got Moeki Fotuaika, who is 22, something like that. Ridiculous as well. There's some big boppers coming through that are so young. So to bring in Isaac Liu in that front row position to really help out that really youthful. And that was a big problem that people had with the Titans before 2021 season, was that their pack was very, very good, but they was very, very young. But now with Isaac Liu coming in, he's got that premiership experience with the Roosters. He's got the system experience with the Roosters. And I think that, people don't understand that he's bringing a lot to this young, youthful Titans side that will be really, really quality. So I'm super looking forward to that as a Titans fan. And I think that most people out there should realize that he's a really solid signing there for the Titans. But people will always think of the Titans in a relatively negative sense, because they've never. The Gold Coast is the place that sport comes to die. I know it. Everyone knows it. That's what it is. Michael Joshua Lewis says, how do you think the Bulldogs will go this year? I think they're relatively overrated. I don't think they make the 8. But in the same sense, I think they'll be better. You can't get worse, mate. You can't get worse. But I think they'll be better than where they were. But in the same sense, to be saying they're going to get the 8, I think Trent Barrett is the worst coach in the NRL. I've said this many times before. You'll see it when we speak about the coaches on... I think on Monday is when the coaches tier rankings come out with ADSI, where we speak all about all 16 coaches. And I'm telling you right now, I do not give him a good rap. I do not give him a good rap at all. Sebastian Grammar, the big fella, here he is. Says, good evening, lads. Good evening, Champione over there in Romania. What a man. What a man. He's a great man, that Sebastian bloke. He's a great man. He's a great man. Human says Rabbitohs. That's Rabbitohs 2. Maybe you're saying two grand final appearances, but hopefully this one doesn't go the same direction the last. Because that one, it was close though. It was close, but that pass, it could have gone on the inside and probably would have been a try there. But whatever. Copper says Casey Field. I don't like it. I have absolutely no idea where Casey Field is. Obviously, that's the game. That's where the Storm game is this weekend. I have absolutely no idea where that is in Victoria. But at least we get to watch some footy. I don't care where it is, mate. I don't care if it's in Timbuktu. I don't care if it's in Ukraine right now. I want to watch some rugby league. Josh plays cricket. If anyone got upset by that, calm down, man. It's all good fun. I know the situation's hectic, but in the same sense, the whole world's shit right now. So just have fun. Josh plays cricket says, up at a Rabbitohs. Getting around the Rabbitohs there. Fergus, here he comes with the Manly. And Fergus Raymond says, the Seagulls getting around Manly. Shannon Humphries says, yo, hello, Shannon Humphries. Daniil Medvedev, the real Medvedev here is in the chat, says, Casey and I go way back. I remember the first time we had laid eyes on each other. Well, that guy is drunk in the chat right now. This Medvedev bloke is, he's had a few to drink. It's a Tuesday night, mate. I reckon you should slow it down because we've got a big season of rugby league ahead and you're already this drunk. No, well, it's actually 8:17 at night for you. So, geez, even earlier because I'm still in Fiji. Josh Plays Cricket says, my friend will be going to the Bulldogs worst night. Well, good on him. Good on him, mate. Daniel Bates says, come on, guys, get on the BKRsport membership. Let's support Blaze and what he does so well for 2022. Oh, yeah, look, I appreciate it, guys. Obviously, look, if you don't, it's $5. Like, if you don't want to, that's fine. I'm still going to be creating content regardless. But I will tell you, for anyone who does become a member, I will be putting out my tips. So as you guys know, I did really well with my tipping for the finals. I only got one wrong, and it was only because the Titans didn't pass that ball with Patrick Herbert, who looked like a beast in that All-Star game, mind you. But I'm going to be putting out my tips for members only, just because I want to give back to members too. It's not because of any other reason. I just simply want to give back to the members who do support the channel, because with the vlogs are expensive, guys, with my traveling or whatnot. But that's not on you. But if you can support the channel, I do appreciate it. I do really appreciate it. Isaac says, how long has the podcast been going so far? Just 20 minutes, mate. This is the first episode, and we're only 20 minutes in. We're only 20 minutes in. Like I said, I'm happy to go as long as we want, man. I'm on no time limit. This is our podcast, and it's just when I kind of feel like it's probably over for this week. But like I said, every single Tuesday we'll be back here slapping it down, buddy. We'll be slapping it down every single time. Jaron Jordan says, we back, baby. About 5 minutes. Oh, yeah. That was... I just realized I am 15 minutes behind these comments. Michael Joshua Lewis says, up at the Bulldogs. Maybe I should select these comments a bit more there. Josh Plays Cricket says, how do you feel Cameron Murray is Rabbitohs captain for the Rabbitohs this year? Like I said, the Rabbitohs, man, they need look, this is a big year for being a captain of that team, especially with the loss of Reynolds and Wayne Bennett. There's going to be needing to be a few guys that stand up. I think that Campbell Graham's going to have a big year for the Rabbitohs, to be honest with you. That's a bit of a different spin-off there. But, yeah, look, I think Cameron Murray is a good selection, and good luck to him. Hopefully he can see the Rabbitohs in a good direction, because they're going to need a steerer. They're going to need someone getting behind that wheel and just saying, you know what? Let's just ignore this, because there will be noise. I'm telling you right now, there will be noise. I don't know how my phone's dead, but I don't know how I was going to look at their schedule. I don't know what their schedule's like, but in the same sense, if it's anything like the Bulldogs, there's going to be a lot of noise that come towards the Rabbitohs. But we'll see how that one goes. They're pretty early days. Medvedev says, I'm going to terminate the media. Yeah, fair enough, mate. That's what Brisbane does. 7 News Brisbane, Isaac says, gee whiz. Copter says, I kind of hope Walsh dogs the Warriors. Why? The Warriors were the ones who gave him the opportunity. The Warriors are the ones who kind of supported him when the Broncos didn't support him. I don't want him to go to the Broncos, and that's not because of any ill feelings towards the Broncos. The Broncos treated him like they treat a lot of players, in the sense that they want to hold on to him until they feel like they're ready. But if somebody else wants them, it's just a long story short. I'm not going to get into the Broncos situation, but the Broncos are now losing a lot of traction in Southeast Queensland. Let's put it that way. They are losing a lot of attraction. Daniel Sexton says, hi, how are you doing? I'm keen on the rugby league this weekend, mate. I'm keen on the rugby league every single weekend, mate. I'm keen on it every single weekend. Sachin Kelson says, as a Warriors fan, I'm curious on how Reece's performance will be after the controversy that has happened with him. I don't think that the controversy that has happened with Reece is really going to impact him a great deal on the field. I think that Reece needs to have he needs to bounce back a little bit. I think that towards the end of last season, he did struggle relatively, and I think his ceiling that everyone was thinking about and everyone was, excited about has really significantly been brought down because of that Broncos game, I think, or was it Broncos or Tigers it was at Suncorp regardless, but the season is here, there, everywhere, even if it's not a home game for either team. But I can't remember what game it was, but Reece Walsh was obviously playing at Suncorp and missed a lot of kicks, wanted the ball in his hands, but still messed up. We spoke about this in the fullbacks tier ranking, actually. So go and check out the fullbacks tier rankings with Mr. Luke Sports that we put up on yesterday, actually. Yesterday we put that one up there. Nathaniel says, are you playing fantasy this year? I'm thinking about giving it a crack, to be honest with you, man. I love my fantasy. I know what I'm doing in fantasy because I play NFL, baseball, and NBA, which is a lot more hectic than NRL fantasy. But I love fantasy too, man. NRL fantasy was the second. Actually, I did Premier League fantasy before I got into NRL. But yeah, I'm a long-time NRL fantasy fan. I just haven't been getting into it in the last couple of years, to be honest with you. Daniel Bates says, very, very interested how the Titans do this year. Yeah, it's a big year for the Titans. I've told you guys for 3 years that I believe that 2023 is the year the Titans get it. And if you don't want to think about get it, it's when the window opens up. I still don't believe the Titans win this year, even as a Titans fan. I think that I back my boys in, I back them in. I definitely guarantee you they're making the 8. I just, there's always noise. Everyone always wants to put down somebody else and other teams and whatnot. And it is what it is. People have an opinion. But if I'm hearing people saying Titans bottom 4, I'm just like, mate, like wank on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't have time for I don't have time for it. And that's not, I just realized that's not a shot at Guru, by the way. I love Guru. He's a mate of mine. I love him. But, that's not a shot at him at all. But I've seen a lot of people saying Titans bottom 4, and I ain't having any of it. Kurt Menzies says, I'm the only non-delusional Broncos fan. I'm not even really tipping us to be in the 8 if we do 8 or 7th. I don't think it's crazy to say the Broncos make the 8, mate. Look, if things go their way, and that's easy to say, but if things go their way, the Broncos absolutely could make the 8. They've still got a decent enough team there. Tony Staggs is in the centres. I've got him as the best centre in the game, in my personal opinion. I love good Tony Staggs, and if you watch the centres tier rankings, then you would know that. But who else? What else has the Broncos got? It's just their spine for me. That's the only problem. And Kevin Walters, this is a big year for Kevin Walters. But like I said, tier rankings on Monday, you'll see the coaches, and we speak about Kevin Walters for about a good 8 minutes, actually, good 8-9 minutes. It's a long chat there about Kevy. And I think that this will be a make or break year for Kevy. If they don't even push for a top 10 spot, then he'll be gone. But I think that people were very harsh on Kevin Walters of 1 year. But in the same sense, it'll be a very make or break year for them. I do think that they're relatively overrated in the sense that a lot of Broncos fans have them automatically making the 8. But that is a Brisbane thing. That's always been a Brisbane kind of mindset. They grew up. I grew up with the Broncos not having ever missed the 8 until I think 2011 or 2012 or something like that. It would have been 2012 because 2011 was the year that I was at the the semi where Darren Lockyer broke and jaw kicked the field goal against the Dragons at Suncorp. I was there at that game. But yeah, I think that the Broncos, and you have to have hope, you have to have belief, but I think a lot of Broncos fans are unrealistic to think that spine is going to be sorted immediately. You look at it, they don't necessarily know who their fullback is. There is potential Asako, but I think he's a better winger. There is potential Tessie New, who's probably going to get the original starting spot. There is Selwyn Cobbo there, who I think should get the spot eventually. You go to the 6, they don't even know who their 6 is. There's Tyson Gamble. There's, Billy Walters now as well getting thrown into the mix. There's Albie Kelly. Number 7 is obviously locked in with Adam Reynolds. And the 9 is Jake Turpin so I don't know, man. Like, it's still a really strange spine. So I don't think that Reynolds automatically takes him into the top 8. But I think they will contend-ish for a top 8 spot. If I'm speaking too long about certain things, let me know, guys. Let me know if I'm speaking too long. Isaac says, when will your ladder predictions come out? The Monday of the first week. I always wait until after trials, after everything. I see injuries from trials, and I wait for that. Because if I do it right this second, then, it kind of puts us into a situation where I've made a prediction that just is nowhere close. So, look, as long as it's before the first game of the season, then no one can say that I've waited for a certain game. You know what I'm saying? But I hate it when I see people making predictions in like November of last year. It's like, I've seen people making predictions for this year in September of last year. And I'm like, bro, this season's not even finished yet. Like, how are you making a prediction for next year? Like, what are you talking about there, man? What are you talking about? I'm gonna try and find some. I'm gonna try and see what's going on here. Alrighty, so Nathan J says, I think it's the 40 man. I don't know. I might have said something. Rapid Fire TV says he comes back to Australia in a couple of weeks' time. I do come back to Australia in a couple of weeks' time. I do. I do. You can see Aguero back there. I just seen that comment, Daniel Bay. Absolutely. Brooks needs the right team around him. The Tigers don't have that. I don't even necessarily think the right team around him gets it done for Brooks. Like I said, I rate him higher than people do give him credit for, but I also don't think he's a great halfback. So read into that kind of what you will. Tommy says, would you resolve your differences with Daily Cockeater? And that's Daily Cherry Evans for everybody out there. I would love to have him on a podcast and chat with him, and it'd be full of banter. Obviously I just call him Daily Cockeater, and I will still continue to do that. I'm a passionate Titans fan, man, and he royally screwed my club back in 2014, I think it was. He wasn't the one who screwed it in 2016. We all know who that was. We aren't going to be speaking about that, man. But yeah, I still think that I can still tell you when I think a player is good, even if I don't like a player. Like James Roberts was a fantastic player for most of his career. He's terrible now, but in the same sense, like he was a fantastic player for most of his career, even though I despise him for the fact that even though the Titans did wrong, he also deliberately sorted that situation out. So, there you go. That's my opinion on that one. Nate J says, most people give Brooks a pass because he's at Tigers, and I think that's bullshit. I agree, Blaze. He should be held accountable. He should be held accountable. And yes, and like this is the thing. I've said multiple things here which kind of are, I guess, hypocritical against what I'm saying as well. Like I'm just giving you the opinion of both sides there. I do believe that he's better than what he's shown, but I also don't think he's great. So, like I said, you just have to read in between that. Offer Samson Marley says Rams or Bengals. Well, the game's over, so I'm gonna say Rams. I'm gonna take the Rams, and I'm gonna make a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction of them to win by 3 points. I'm going to make a prediction. I think I'm going to make a prediction. Was it 23-20? I think it's going to be 23-20. I could be wrong if that was the score. But anyway, it was close enough. It's going to be close enough. So go and put your house on it. I think the Rams are going to win. Get around my boy Matty Stafford. Get around my boy Matty Stafford. People aren't going to even understand that if they don't watch NFL. Why I'm saying go buddy Matty Stafford and show on a Detroit shirt. Medvedev says, Blaze, where's your cowboy scarf? It's definitely not here, mate. It's definitely not here, buddy. Joseph Zender says, Warriors need to make the top 8 this year somehow. I don't think they will, though, especially considering they are in Redcliffe. I don't think they will. I would love to see them obviously get their home games back and returning, but in the same sense, it's still probably not going to happen because New Zealand has gone. I don't know what happened, but all I know is that they're not getting their June home game again, which does suck. That really does suck for them. But I would love to see the Warriors get into the 8. But then again, that would be at the expense of my team more than likely. So I also kind of don't. But yeah, it would be great for that club. They need it after the last couple of years. The Spacer says, what needs to be done with the Warriors to make the top 8? I think just needs to go home. Like I said, I really back in the fact that Shawnee J and Ash Taylor are going to be together. And I actually genuinely believe that Ash Taylor has been, unfortunately, not great at the Titans because we have been a bit of a rabble of an organization for a while now. And he's had a lot of off-field issues that I know about. I know that it wasn't exactly a prime setup here for Ash. And obviously in 2016, he was the rookie of the year coming through. He was still even good in 2017, but then he went completely downhill. I back him in. I've always backed him, my boy, Ashley Taylor, and I'm looking forward to what he can do there with Shawnee J. Rapid Fire TV says, my top 4 are Storm, Panthers, Roosters, and Seagulls. Just quickly on that, I will say, however, that he is going from the Titans, who were in a situation, to a team of the Warriors who are still in a situation too. So it's not like it's a prime, great opportunity there situation-wise, because the Warriors are still in a bit of a mess due to the fact that they cannot go home still. So it still is a bit all over the shop. Rabbit Fire TV says, my top 4 are Storm, Panthers, Roosters, and Seagulls. Rabbits and Eels at 5th and 6th, and Rays and Sharks to finish off the 8. Well, you're wrong because there's no Titans there. Nath J says, Warriors need to move to Western Australia, stand a chance of making the 8, in my opinion. What are you smoking? What are you talking about? What are you smoking, mate? Sebastian Grammer says, I do fear the Dolphins situation might turn out similar to the Toulouse situation. Everyone was pumped about them debuting in the Super League, and they were thrashed by an average team in the Giants. I don't really know a great deal about the Super League. I don't know enough to kind of agree or necessarily disagree there. But in the same sense, I don't think that what is Toulouse is that a new team in the Super League now that has just come in and they've just been slapped? Because That's normally going to happen. We saw, well, to be fair, the Titans had a good account of themselves, I think, in the first game against the Dragons, but it was a very close game. I think it was at Suncorp. But outside of that, like, you're normally going to see, like, there's going to be, especially in the Super League, I don't believe Super League has, is there a salary cap in the Super League, or is it very limited? I don't believe there is necessarily a salary cap per se, and that's why we see teams like St. Helens and whatnot doing so successful. But then, like I said, I'm not going to speak about the Super League because I don't know anywhere near enough about the Super League to convincingly say that this is the fact of the matter. But yeah, I think the Dolphins, there's a lot of things to be sorted out, and there is some really, really good talent in the Panthers and the Roos, and there's always going to be some really good talent regardless. So yeah, best of luck to them. But I think that they're going to have a significant rivalry with the Broncos. Everyone in Queensland has a significant rivalry with the Broncos, so to be honest with you. Jonathan Ifuaki says, how do you think the Storm go this season? Not as good as they have, but in the same sense, they'll still be up there. They'll always be up there until Craig Bellamy goes. Just a fact of the matter, really. Just a fact of the matter, really. Sebastian Graham says, so do expect a rocky start from them and a gradual adaptation improvement? Yeah, well, that's what it's a new club. Like, what do you expect? Like, you have to expect them to gradually improve. You can't just expect them to come in and win it first year. I don't think I've ever seen in any sport a team come in and win it first year. The only one that's been close, I think, was the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the hockey when they came in. I think they made the Stanley Cup finals when they came in, but they still lost that. I can't remember who it was to. Maybe the Blues, St. Louis Blues, maybe. But yeah, I remember that one. That was the only one that I can think of that his first year did anything really. Broncos didn't win first year, I think, or maybe back in the 1908 Rabbitohs and whatnot, but that's not, you don't even include that. Don't even talk about that one, to be honest with you. Reed Nichols says 2023 NFL USA, yes. What's that about? But I will say, if you guys haven't subscribed to the BKRsport USA channel yet, I don't even think I put it in the description, so you can't go to it. But if you go to my previous video on the NRL team makers from yesterday, you can go into the comment section, and I commented with the BKRsport USA channel. In 2 weeks' time, all American content will be going from this channel over to that channel. So this is only going to be Australian sport on BKR Sports. So definitely, if you're in sport too and you want to follow for American sport, there's also BKRsport USA. But this will be Australian-based pretty much in 2 weeks' time. NRL Tips and More says, g'day, mate. G'day, buddy. G'day, buddy. Creamer says, hasn't Campbell Graham beefed up a fair bit too? Yeah. Look, I think Campbell Graham's going to have a good year. I really do. And I think that this is something that I also seen with Supercoach 365 and a lot of other guys in the fantasy community that are really backing him in for a really solid season in regards to getting some points fantasy. Like I said, I'm getting back into my fantasy this year, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm the expert in fantasy. But, I know my rugby league. And rugby league, the whole point of fantasy is that you're getting points based on how the players are playing in the game. So if I know the players are playing well in the game, I know that sometimes it can be a bit differential where a player does well, but he's not necessarily getting the stats, which means that he's not really doing fancy. But in the same sense, it's not rocket science if you understand what's happening in the game, really. Alex's blog says, hey, Blaze, hello, buddy. Potato Dragon said, are you good at physics? I'm going to move on from that one. That was random. NRL Tips and More says, I've been practicing my footy and hopefully to get into the Gold Coast Titans top 30 squad soon. It's still a while to go. Yeah, well, keep backing yourself in, man. You're going to have everyone telling you that you can't do it. Just keep backing yourself in. Every single person on the planet has said that pretty much every player in the NRL right now at one stage would have been doubted upon. So take that into consideration. Anyone who's too small or even too big or even just normal, every single person has been doubted at some stage. So, yeah, just keep backing yourself in, man. Tommy says, anyone here sick of hearing North Sydney Bears wanting to come back to the NRL? I don't want them to come back in the NRL. I don't want them to come back in the NRL. Look, I'm not going to say that. I would like them to come back in the NRL, but there is a lot more teams that I would prefer than another Sydney Bears team. Like, I don't want another New South Wales-based team right now. Look how many teams we've got in New South Wales right now. Let's think about, first off, we've got, Western Australia wanting to come in. We've got South Australia wanting to come in. We've got PNG wanting to come in. Fiji want to come in. We've got another New Zealand team wanting to come in. We've just got Redcliffe. So we've got 4 Queensland teams now. I honestly, I wouldn't even say Northern Territory wouldn't be completely out of it to want to come in. And I guarantee you, the only thing with Fiji and Samoa and Tonga and whatnot is that they've just got their own teams into the Super Rugby. Fiji and Drua, my Fiji and Drua into the Super Rugby, and then also the Moana Pacifica, which represents Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, Cook Islands, Niue and whatnot. So, that's a bit of a problem there. But they're a long way down the track, and so is PNG. I actually personally believe that a team like Fiji is more than likely something in the long-term future than PNG, because I think that the location, geography, and also the situation inside said country is probably a better situation. But in the same sense, that's just down to opinion. But that's what this podcast is, man. Medvedev says, what are your expectations for the Maroons in the next few years or so? Do you see improvement? The thing is, man, is that people don't understand Origin anywhere near enough if they think that Origin is just going to be a whitewash for the next 8 years straight because Queensland did it once. That was a special team. People have they've overhyped this team significantly. I think that this team is unbelievable, this New South Wales team. Don't get me wrong. I think they're fantastic. But in the same sense, man, you got to remember that this same team basically lost last year, 2020, to the worst Queensland team ever, as they say. So anything can happen in Origin. That 8 years in a row was something special. Do I think the Queensland win this year? I don't know. Origin is such a hard game to predict. I love what they've got going in New South Wales. I do. I think it's fantastic. I don't love it because I'm a Queenslander, but I think they've got a fantastic team. But to say that they're already to compare this team, it's so disrespectful for people and content creators out there to be comparing this New South Wales team already after one Origin victory to the 8 in a row Queensland. I just find it ridiculous. But yeah, look, I think that absolutely they'll improve. Do they win? Not sure, but it'll be a good one. Big Boy has his thoughts on how the Raiders will go. Not backing him in, man. I'm not a big fan of how Ricky Stewart's kind of at that club right now. I think they've got the talent at the club. I do. I think they've got the talent, but in the same sense, I don't know. The Raiders are still kind of a bit how you going for me. They're still on the edge of being. They're still very. I don't really know how to read them this year. They're a very tough team to read this year. They could easily go and make a top 4 team, but they could easily go and make a 10th place, 11th place team. Maybe not bottom 4, but like a 10th, 11th is their floor. I think probably 4th is their ceiling, in my personal opinion, which is a wild discrepancy there. There's a wild separation. Alex's vlog says, don't know if this has been answered yet, but do you reckon Garrick will make New South Wales this year? Okay, so the wingers list with Clarkey, I'm going to give you a bit of a preview. I'm not going to really talk too much about this question because of the fact that we speak very in depth about Ruben Garrick on the wingers tier list that we found out a stat with Clarkey's Rugby League column, and it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind in regards to Ruben Garrick. So I would say, look, I don't think so, no, because those the wide receivers, those wingers at the New South Wales team is too stacked right now. There's no way. Look at the wingers. They got Brian To'o and Josh Adokar, and their centers are Trebojevic and Latrell Mitchell. What you can't fit them in anywhere. And also, this stat will blow your mind when you watch the wingers tier list. So that will come out, I think next Friday. Not this Friday, next Friday is when the wingers tier list will come out with Clarkey. J-Ron Jordan says Ruben Garrick needs to step up a bit more. So no. To answer specifically the question of Alex's vlogs, the answer would be no. But does that? There's more to why I'm saying that, because it definitely does rely on Trebojevic. It definitely does. But, of course it is. He's one of the best players in the game right now. Yanni Mavita says, the first Warriors home game back, they are beating anyone. I agree. I've said this for a long time. I agree. The Warriors will beat whoever they play at home. I don't care who they play. I don't care if it's the Roosters. I don't care if it's the Panthers. Maybe not the Panthers. I still think probably the Panthers. I don't care who they play in New Zealand on that first game back whenever they play there. And this is what I said as well on a video. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe the halfbacks or somewhere else. It might have been the front rowers with Ram Satsguy. And I said, listen, if the Warriors are in a chance to make the top 8 with about 5 games to go, and they get a crack at having a home game final, their last 5 games are filled with home games, and they're allowed to go back to New Zealand. If they're even in with a slight sniff, I can tell you right now, the Warriors will be hard to hold out from that finals. And I don't think many people are going to back them in. I really don't. I think most people are going to think, it's the Warriors, who cares? But I'm telling you, I think if they get within a sniff with the last 5-6 rounds and they get any of those home games, it's going to be a bit of a terrifying situation for anybody who's trying to fight them for that top 8 spot. Jay says, but if they're at home, if they're still at home, if they're still in Redcliffe, then no, I don't give them any chance. Nate Jay says, Warriors play Dragons at Warriors round 1. Every year, Dragons beat Warriors at Warriors, and Warriors beat Dragons at Dragons. Okay, well, that was a bit of a tongue twister. But what he's saying is the Warriors, whoever the away team is, I think is what he's saying here. Every year, Dragons beat Warriors at Warriors, and Warriors beat Dragons at Dragons. So, yeah, so you're saying the away team always wins. Yeah, but Nate, I'm pretty certain you're a Dragons fan, if I'm not mistaken. And I definitely don't rate the Dragons as much as Dragons fans and Dragons people. I don't rate the Dragons much, but in the same sense, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dragons beat the Warriors there. I don't really necessarily rate the Warriors as a significant deal too, but like I said, if they get those home games, go into those finals, and they're going to snifferoono, nice little cheeky snifferoono, go into those finals. I'm telling you right now, do not back against them. Do not back against them to have a nice little chance there. Aiden DV says, so who do you think deserves to be in the top 4 this year? Deserves to be in the top 4 this year? That's a bit of a rough question. Deserves? I don't think anyone deserves to be in the top 4 this year. But who do I think will be in the top 4 based on what I saw last year? And I guess like I said, this year there is no guaranteed winner. And honestly, you could genuinely make an argument. And I'm saying even a 0.1% chance of an argument. You could make an argument for, I would say, 10 to 11 teams to win. I don't think, obviously, like I said, 0.1% chance for those lower-ended teams. I'll tell you the teams that you could make a genuine argument and say this is why they will win the comp this year. But like I said, there's teams that are higher percentages and there's teams that are lower, and then there's other teams that there is no argument there. So obviously there's the Roosters, the Panthers, there's the Storm, there's the Rabbitohs, you could argue the Eels, there's Manly, you could argue the Titans, you could argue the Raiders, you could argue the Sharks, you could even make an argument for the Broncos, but it's getting a bit dicey there. I think I said the Raiders already. You couldn't make an argument for the Warriors. You definitely couldn't make an argument for the Knights. You could technically make an argument for the Dragons with the fact that they've got a couple of new fresh faces there and changed their team entirely, but I think at max is 10, 11 teams there that you could make even the slightest of an argument for. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if I can make a slight argument for 10 to 11 teams to even win it, then you definitely go down to the point where it's going to get a higher chance of them making a top 4. So if I'm going to go, I'll give you a basic top 4, to be honest with you, because I think the Panthers will be there, the Roosters will be there. I think the Storm should just be good enough, and I got Manly. But that's a basic top 4. That's the thing. It's a basic top 4, but it is kind of what it is, man. Peter Parker says, after watching the All-Star game, seeing most of the Sharks play, I'm confident the Sharks will make the 4. That's a big call. That's a huge call. That is a massive call. You have got a rookie coach. In Craig Fitzgibbon. It's like, good luck to you, man. Obviously, my mum's a Sharks fan. I back him in. I hope they do well for you. But top 4 is a big call. Like I said, I believe that they definitely could do it. But to be that confident after an All-Stars game, effectively an exhibition match, to say that what you're saying there, and I'm not having to go at you, by the way, but you're effectively saying that you're pretty much guaranteeing a top 4 spot because of, I know you said confident, but I know I'm reading between the lines here. You're saying that because of effectively an exhibition match, the Sharks are now basically one of the top 4 teams in the league. But okay, so who was the spine? So we had Will Kennedy play, didn't really do a great deal. Nico Hines was fine. Trindle was, I didn't really notice him at all, and I don't think Braille. Oh, you said after watching it, and most of the Sharks spine. Okay, yeah, 3 of the 4 spine there. You look. I think it's good positive signs there, but in the same sense, like, they're playing with Josh Adokar. They're also playing with they're playing with Dave Fafita. They're playing with all the best of the best too. Like, you're taking Dave Fafita out of that side and you're putting him in with Hamlin Ueli. Like, you swap because he's a front row forward. Okay, who was the front row forward there for the Indigenous? That was a big I can't even think of it. But anyway, long story short, you're taking out players like Dave Fafita and players like Josh Adokar and Hamiso and all these other guys that are, I don't know if I should have used Hamiso, but you're taking out such an incredible team. And then you're moving to guys like Wade Graham, who has been great in the past, but he's a lot older now. So, yes, I think there's positive signs, but to be saying top 4 is a bit outrageous in my opinion. I think they'll improve, but I think that top 8 is really congested this year, really significantly congested this year. Medvedev says, apparently the New Zealand Warriors are from WA. You are still on the drink. Tommy says, what team would you be supporting if it wasn't for the Titans? The Sharks. And that's why people think that, when I talk about, like, I will insult the Titans if I think the Titans aren't going to be good. I will tell you, and you guys know this by now. I've been creating content for six odd years now. I've been streaming for probably 2 years now. And you guys should know by now that if I think my team is playing shit, I will tell you my team is playing shit. If I think my team is playing good, I'll tell you my team's playing good. And I think the Titans right now are much better than people give them credit for. But I can also tell you that they also will lose games that they should win this year. But with the Sharks, they're like a second team because, they're my mum's team. I've always gotten behind them just because of her and whatnot. But yeah, that would be the only thing. But I guess if the Titans weren't a team, I would have been a Broncos fan. Shark fan 98 says, how do you think the Sharks will go? Well, I think I just answered your question, but I still think they make the top 8. This is the thing. I still think the Sharks will probably make the top 8 because I've got the Knights dropping out, obviously. And there is controversialness about, I guess, the Eels and the Rabbitohs, but I still don't think that they're going to miss out. And obviously the Titans are going to be one of those how you going teams too. So, but I definitely think the Titans and Sharks will both make it there, whether it be 7 and 8 or even potentially higher. I don't know. It's like I said, it's very close top 8 this year. But I do think the Sharks are going to be decent. Don't get me wrong. But there is a lot of criticism still to go to all these Sharkies fans coming out of the woodwork and saying, guaranteed top 4. There's still a lot to be done here first, lads. Still a lot to be seen here. Let's look at the trials. Let's look at how Nico Hines goes with Trindle in a team that doesn't have a stacked as damn well front row, second row, and back line. Come on, that's the All-Stars compared to not Andrew Fafita. Geez, who's the other one that's kind of a lot older there? Anyway, long story short, big difference between the All-Stars and playing for the Sharks on a regular season level. Alex's vlog says, what teams do you think can win the Rugby League World Cup this year? Looking forward to streaming the Rugby League World Cup. If you guys are new, by the way, firstly, thumbs up, subscribe. But secondly, I stream pretty much every single game here on this channel, my reaction and talk to you guys live. The chat comments don't come up on the stream, but this is why I do this podcast here, so your comments come up. But I think I will definitely be streaming the Rugby League World Cup later on this year. I've got, obviously, the Australians are going to win it. I'm sorry, but the Australians are going to win it. But I've got, obviously, Tonga will be there. Samoa is actually probably, for me, I actually think Samoa looks better than Tonga, and that's a controversial opinion, but I think Samoa is actually looking better than Tonga. Fiji are looking decent, but in the same sense, their halves are a bit how you going, but everywhere else is actually pretty all right. I don't really necessarily rate New Zealand as much as I have previously. I don't really know a great deal about England, but England, they're never really they can't compete with Australia. Let's be honest. They did actually compete with them in the final, I guess, last time and only lost 6-0, but still lost. And this is, for me, this Australian team is going to be wow. This Australian team is going to be wow. You're going to have Nathan Cleary there in the 7. You're going to have Cameron Munster in the 6. You're going to have the fullback spot filled by probably Tedesco with Trbojevic in centres alongside Latrell Mitchell. Tedesco's not going to be there because Tedesco plays for Italy, doesn't he? Shit. Well, then you have Trbojevic. Am I skipping there? Does Tedesco play for Italy? Tedesco does play for Italy, doesn't he? Or am I skitzing? I can't remember. I'm not too sure. But anyway, long story short, the team is stacked. But if it's not Tedesco, then Trbojevic goes into the fullback role. Shit, man. But yeah, those two. Look, I think people want Papua New Guinea to do well. By the way, also on this discussion around the Indigenous All-Stars and the Māori Māori All-Stars getting into the World Cup. I'm sorry, but it's a stupid idea. I'm sorry. It is. I would love to see it I would love to see it in some aspects, but there was a quote that I did see the other day. I can't remember who said it, but it was the World Cup isn't about the color of your skin. It's about the nation you represent. And although there is a lot of issues in regards to Australia and Indigenous and the white population of Australia and the Indigenous population of Australia, although there is a lot of issues in regards to that, I'm sorry, we are still one country. And I love the Indigenous like anybody else. And I love everybody the exact same. So I don't feel like necessarily it's even a discussion point here that we should be separating our own country and putting it to the World Cup just because we think it's going to be a better team. There was a comment made about Greece saying, I don't even know anyone from Greece. Who gives a shit if you don't know anyone about Greece? Because they're giving it a crack. They're coming out there. Look, if they get beaten 100-0, they get beaten 100-0. But they're a growing sport over there. They're trying to grow the sport. You get rid of them because you want to chuck in a second Australian team. We may as well just make the World Cup just Indigenous Australians. We've got Greek Australians. Get the Greek Australians in there instead of Greece. We've got the Māori Kiwis, we've got the New Zealanders. And then we'll get the Mutton for the Fiji, and then we've got others, and we've got the Rotuma population for Fiji. Like, there's all different cultures. Like, I get what you're saying in the sense that it would be awesome to see these on a world level, but it's Australia and New Zealand. It's not Australia and then the Indigenous Australians. It's just not how it works. It's not how it works. So I understand why people would like that in a sense, in aspects, but I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That's just not how it goes. The Speedster says, the All-Stars was absolutely unbelievable to watch, though. You've got to really appreciate that event for what it was, because that shows off the cultures of those two fantastic cultures in the Indigenous and also the Māoris. The Speedster says, Roosters had all these injuries last year, players back this year, but I don't think it will be enough to make the 4. I'm thinking 5th for them in a short finals run. Wow, that's a big call. You don't think it'll be enough to make the 4 for the Roosters? Even a lot of people are tipping for the premiership. I'm thinking 5th for them in a short finals run. It's a big call. Wow, I haven't seen anybody doubt the Roosters as much as that. I think that there is still a relative concern about Sam Walker and if he can work with Keary, because they didn't really play. I don't even know if they did play together at the beginning of last season, Keary and Sam Walker, unless I'm mistaken, unless he did start the season there. But I think the Roosters will be better than what you've given them credit for there, man. I think the Roosters are definitely a top 4 team this year, and their forwards are banging. Their back line is banging. And if they can get away from the injury curse they had last year, I definitely have them a bit better than what you've got there, my dude. Danny says, how do you think the State of Origin will go this year? Queensland 3-0. Electrical Dust says, hi. Hello, Electrical Dust there. Till Chunga says, who do you think will get the spoon in 2022? It's between the Tigers and Cowboys for me, but I'll still lean with the Tigers. But in the same sense, Adam Dewey's a decent little player there, man. And they've got an okay spine, but it's okay. Their 9 is not great, but their fullback in Dane Laurie is, he's decent. Luke Brooks has been a halfback of the year before, but still, concerning. And then obviously Adam Dewey, but their whole team was kind of a bit dubious. So I don't know, man. It probably Tigers are down that way, though. They probably are still down that way. Aiden Davis says, who do you think will finish in top 4 this year? Like I said before, yeah, Panthers, Manly, Roosters, and Storm. But that will change very frequently. That will change probably next week when we come back here on next Tuesday. After we see a little bit more. Electrical Dust says, Benji Marshall made a prediction on Fox to leave for Luke Brooks to win Dally M halfback of the year. No way it's happening. Yeah, I saw that before. That's why I mentioned before, actually. I did mention that before. I think he's working with Luke Brooks, so you do have to just understand that he's going to back in the guy that he's currently working alongside. Darren Daniel says, Blue supporters are just hyped they actually won something for once. Yeah, they'll get a hashtag 1 in a row like they did back in, was it 2014? Hashtag 1 in a row. That's the thing. Yep, if you don't understand that, well, then you can join that party of the hashtag 1 in a row. Muppets, man, back in 2014. You Muppets. Jack Dempsey says, thoughts on Nico Hines' performance on Saturday? I thought it was decent, yeah. I thought he was pretty good, but in the same sense, it's an all-stars game. He's got a lot better players there overall than what he's got at the Sharks. And I think that it was a good sign because I didn't necessarily know how to see him outside that Storm outfit, but in the same sense, you're still putting him into an all-stars outfit. I want to see him play in the trials as a half. But I think he's a better 6. And a lot of people do say that too. Young Member says, this Blues team has the potential to be special, but it's still very early on. Absolutely. It's 1 year. They lost in 2020. They lost from a apparently unlosable position. So, there's a long way to go. But, that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. People are always going to hype up their team. Cool, I get it. But, you need to be realistic too. Electoral Dust says Raiders 11th or 12th for me, in my opinion. I don't disagree. But like I said, they could be coming anywhere from 11th to 3. 11th to 4 really is there. 11th is the floor. 4, 3 is their I'd say 4 is their ceiling, to be honest with you. Sniper Scar says, I don't think Ricky's the right coach of the Raiders at this time. I don't think Ricky's the right coach for anyone at any time, realistically, man. I think that Ricky has unfortunately lost his way. I think he has really... 2019 was great, but he really screwed their season up individually last year, and I think the players have gone away from him. Personal opinion, I don't know inside the club as from outsider's perspective. I only get an outsider's perspective from what we see in the media and whatnot, but I'm not going to lie. Jamal Fogarty is super overhyped for what he provides. He is a safe halfback, but I don't necessarily know if he suits... it's kind of strange that with Fogarty going out of the Raiders. But, best of luck to him. Or not, because I know how he exited the Titans. Electrical Dust says, I think that Johnson should get a spot in the New South Wales squad. Why are we adding players to a team that was won as big as they did last year? Like, why do you want to add players to the New South Wales outfit who trounced Queensland by like 50-odd points in the second game and I think it was 26-0 the second game. I think it was 52-4 in the first game, wasn't it? Or something like that. Jeez, I don't know, but shit. Gee whiz. Tigers fans, which team will be the NRL draft tomorrow? It will be the Warriors with Hold the Ball. We'll be doing the Warriors draft tomorrow at 6 p.m. And speaking of the Warriors, we've got the Warriors NRL Fanatics here. And he says, does Ash Taylor make the starting team in round 1, or do you play Cody or Chanel Harris-Tavita? I think that the Warriors play the Titans in round 2. And if anyone is going to want to have a big game there, and the Warriors are infamous for playing well against the Titans, not the last game of last season, but Ash Taylor, I believe, probably should be the half there. But if you want to go for a bit more experience, but in the same sense, you don't need experience necessarily. Actually, it's not even experience. Ash Taylor's experienced enough now. He's been around, 6 years? So I would personally say that I believe Ash Taylor out of Cody Nicarima, even after his All-Stars game, Chanel Harris-Tavita, and Ash Taylor. I personally back in Ash Taylor more than those guys on a consistent level, even though we haven't seen it so far. But I still think that he's got a higher ceiling than out of the three of them. It just comes down to how he works with Shawnee J, and I think he will work with Shawnee J kind of nice. All right, well, we've been going for an hour here. We'll stick around for a little bit. We'll stick around here for a little bit, maybe 15, 20 more minutes, and then we'll jump off here. Because like I said, this will be every Tuesday, guys. So we'll have all the trials to go over next week as well. And whatnot. Isaac says, I think the only two people that could make it into the current New South Wales squad would be Staggs and Radley, maybe if he isn't suspended. Definitely Staggs. But you got to think in this sense that Tedesco is the one, and then Trebojevic goes into the centres because of that, because Tedesco is not as versatile as Trebojevic. Trebojevic is very versatile where he can go multiple positions. So Trebojevic goes into the centres, and then you got Latrell Mitchell. So I don't believe Staggs can make it into that team. I don't think you can fit him. There's no way you put him on the wing, and there's no way you can put him over Brian to or Josh Adokar, and he's not going into the 6th role because that's who's in there number 6 right now. It's not Jerome Luai, is it? It could be Jerome Luai, or there's Cody Walker there, and there's a whole heap of guys that'll be in front of Tony Staggs. So as much as I think Tony Staggs is the best centre in the game, Latrell Mitchell is usually a fullback now, but he's the best centre in the game when he's playing in centre. So, I have 100% believe that there's no way that Tony Staggs, as much as I love him, should be in that New South Wales team. It's just unfortunate that there's too many good players right now in the position that he's around. No idea. Electrical Dust says, the Rugby League World Cup will be interesting as we haven't seen international rugby league for so long. Yes, but look at that Australian team. Just look at that Australian team. It's something wild. Danny says, what do you think of Joe Tarpanay in the All-Stars game? I thought Tarpanay was fine. I think Tarpanay is good. I think Tarpanay has a whole heap of potential. I just don't think he's lived up to his potential yet. I think that this year could be a big year. We spoke about him in the Locks tier ranking, I think, with Entertain House, and I think he's got a decent year ahead of him. But like I said, this Raiders team is a hard team to read this year, man. They're a very, very, very hard team to read this year, man. Tommy says, do you think the NRL shot themselves in the foot when they call this game National Rugby League when there is only one team in an AFL-dominated state? No, I don't think anyone gives a shit about that. I think, okay, fine. If you want to nitpick and say that's a bad thing for the game, cool. But I don't think anyone really cares too much. Like, we could technically call ourselves the International Rugby League, but it doesn't have the same ring to it. Then again, the New Zealand Warriors currently reside in Redcliffe, which is in Australia, Queensland. So it is currently national. But look, I guess that's just your perception of the word national, because we've got a team in Victoria, we've got a team in Canberra, which is not New South Wales, mind you. We've got a whole heap of teams in New South Wales, obviously, and in different parts of New South Wales, not just straight there. We've also got 3 teams in Queensland, and we've got New Zealand. And there's also, in the Queensland Cup and New South Wales Cup, we've got Fiji, Silktails, and we've got the Papua New Guinea hunters and whatnot. And there is talk about bringing in Western Australia. So, overall, man, I don't think anyone really gives a shit. It is what it is. I would love to see Western Australia get in, but in the same sense, it's not necessarily a necessity. I couldn't care less whether we go to Western Australia just because we want to call it a technical national competition. Dasmate says, Doggies 2022 Premiers. You are a Muppet. Mark Bailey says, there's no argument for Eels not making the top 8. I disagree. And I know you're going to disagree with me. So cool, we can disagree to disagree. We can disagree to disagree, not agree to disagree. We can disagree to disagree. But the reason why I say there is an argument, and it's a slight argument, I think the Eels definitely do make the 8. But the argument, Mark, is the fact that you've got obviously guaranteed you have the Panthers, guaranteed you have the Roosters, guaranteed you have the Storm. I would go as far to say guaranteed that you have Manly Sea Eagles. Then again, if Trbojevic goes down injured, that will be quite significant. So can you technically guarantee that? I'm going to guarantee Manly. And that's realistically the only 4 teams that I can specifically guarantee you a spot in the top 8, unless I'm forgetting somebody there. Because I can make an argument for the Rabbitohs having too many changes and Demetrio coming in and Ilias being there and a whole kind of fresh setup there in the spine being adjusted from such a solid halfback in Adam Reynolds. The Eels are wavering. You know, they're a defensive-minded outfit, but in the same sense, you've got the Titans who have improved, besides the fact that people don't know what they're talking about. The Titans have improved. They've got a young spine, but in the same sense, the Titans are backing in a long-term plan there. So do the Titans finish above the Eels? Not necessarily, but I'm saying the Titans are better than people give them credit for. So the Titans could finish above the Eels. Don't think it happens, but it could. Sharks can finish above the Eels. They're a more exciting team, but they are still a little bit kind of, I don't know what to see them just yet because it's still very early in the days of the Sharks there. So do I think the Sharks finish above the Eels? Probably not, but there is a big shout for it. A lot of people have the Sharks over the Eels in the competition this year. So then if we're making the argument for that, then there's the Titans, there's the Sharks, and then if we want to throw in the Rabbitohs because the Rabbitohs still have Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, Damien Cook, big time. Oh, their forward line's actually not that great, but their back line is fantastic. You know, you could make it. So there you go. We've already got them in 8th based on that. And then we've got teams. Who else have we not mentioned there? You could argue the Broncos, but in the same sense, it's just not going to happen. So, like, realistically, they're the only 3 teams that I think could push up there. Who else is there, really? Who else have I missed? I definitely have missed out on a team that's improving. I don't know. But there is an argument for it. It's not an easy argument. It's not a good argument necessarily, but it's an argument to say that, yes, you could definitely debate it. And I could definitely disagree with you, but I don't think it's likely to agree with you to an extent. Electrical Justice, when are you making your ladder prediction video for the NRL? Like in 2 or 3 weeks? The Monday of the first week. Or it could be Tuesday. No, it's the Monday of the first week of the NRL. The Monday. I always wait. Tedesco's Australia. Thanks, Yanni. Yeah, I don't know why I thought Italy. Who am I thinking of with Italy? Oh, I'm thinking of Michello. I'm thinking of Michello, not Buddy Tedesco. Shit, man. Thinking of Buddy Michello. I didn't even put that on the screen. There you go, Yanni. Electrical Dust says, no way for the Māori and Indigenous to be in the World Cup as they are part of Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, I just think it diversifies the 2 cultures way too dramatically. I think it just adds more fuel to the fire of diversifying cultures and diversifying the whole point of, I guess, the whole point of the All-Star concept as well. Creamy says just wanting more separation. Yeah, exactly right. Just wanting more separation there. Dasmate says, I think Teddy played for Italy last World Cup, but he's played for the Aussies as well, so I don't know. Well, he's playing for New South Wales, so that means that you are eligible for Australia. You're eligible for Queensland. It means you're eligible for Australia, so you'd have to assume that if he's playing for New South Wales and he's playing for Australia, I don't know why I gapped it. I think I might have been thinking about Anthony Minicello. Electrical Dust says, people want to separate them because they want to see more games played by their country. Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Like, what I don't really understand how that makes sense, to be honest with you. I know you're just saying that's what people say, but I don't really understand how that makes sense. Sorry, I'll read this one comment out here first, because I've just seen AJ have a crack at him. I don't know how the international eligibility works. I don't know who Tedesco will play for. I know. Well, he's probably eligible for Italy and also Australia. Electrical Dust said, "Is that woke bullshit off?" But that's funny. Zay Brown says, "I know it's not league, but Marika Coloberti didn't play contact rugby until he was 17. Unbelievable. Yeah, but that's the Fijian blood in him, man. The Fijians just know how to play some rugby. They know how to play some rugby." David Carr says, "Bring on the 2022 NRL season. Go to money. Panther Panthers, Panther Pride." There, he's getting around them. He is getting around them. Tommy says, is there going to be a what-if series about NRL history in the near future? What if? What do you mean by what if? Have I got a message about this recently? No, I can't remember. I got a message maybe about this on Instagram or something like that. Are you talking about me doing it, or are you talking about? I'm not too sure. It's probably a decent idea, but in the same sense, I do a lot of content, man. I don't just do NRL. I do Super Rugby. That's coming up this week. I do. I've got my American sporting channel now, BKRsport USA, that starts up in 2 weeks' time. But I've already created it for 2 weeks' time. I will be doing a bit of AFL this year too. We do A League A League's coming back and all that type of stuff. So a bit hectic, but in the same sense, we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go there. Samuelu Fualau. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. I did my best. But Broncos top 8. There's a shout for it. There is a shout for it. Does it happen? Shit. I don't think so. I think they'll push, but I think they'll be much better than they were previously. That's as far as I'll go to say there. That's as far as I'll go to say there. But I definitely think they're better. John West, tune lad. Get around him. Do you think Titans will progress or regress this year? Progress. I am backing them in, baby. What do you want me to say here? What do you want me to say? Oh, no, my team's going to go to shit. No, I back my team in 100% here. And I know that Isaac Liu is a fantastic signing. I know that is a key signing that helps us out dramatically. I know that Toby Sexton was rated as an absolutely phenomenal halfback when he was playing last year in those 4 games. Everyone was like, oh, look at this kid coming through. I know that Jaden Campbell has been rated as one of the better fullbacks in the game last year as a rookie coming through. Not on the same level as the elite and top end of quality and whatnot, but people are really backing Jaden Campbell because they know his dad, Preston Campbell, and they know how good he was playing. The only issue is the hooker, but in the same sense, I think Aaron Clark look, I think they can be better, but in the same sense, I still back in Aaron Clark, man. I still do. He's not unbelievable. I still back him in. You got the forward line, David Fafita, Mawaki Fodawaker, Tino Faso Malawi. Jared Wallace is a good attacking front rower. You got Isaac Liu comes in with the experience. You've got a whole heap of guys here. The back line can be a bit iffy overall, but in the same sense, like they're an attacking team, they will score tries if they can sort out their defense to an extent. Because Justin Holbrook's coming from the Super League, and the Super League is not a defensive league. Super League is not a defensive league, so that's why the Titans are so attacking. But Justin Holbrook needs to adjust his defensive game plan because is significantly different to the Super League. So I absolutely back in that they will progress. Absolutely back in it. They'll progress. Adam Milton says, how do you think the Titans will go this year? Like I said, I think they're ceiling of 5th. I don't think it happens. Ceiling of 5th. Floor of 10th. I would say ceiling of 5th, floor of 10th is what I would say. That would be the ultimate floor. Electrical Dust says, the new Panther Stadium will be across the road from a cemetery. Cool. Cool, man. Cool. Warriors NRL Fanatic says, who's the most overhyped team going into this year in your opinion? Overhyped? Overhyped. Who is hyped? Oh, well, there's the Bulldogs. But in the same sense, I think most people who aren't Bulldogs fans know that they're relatively overhyped. So that makes it kind of not being as overhyped. Maybe the Broncos, but in the same sense, like I did see Always Reason Broncos make a comment on Nick's video once saying, how can they be overrated when they're only predicted to be 7th through 10th? And my rebuttal for that is the fact that the Titans have been predicted 7th through 10th for the last 2-3 years, and everyone said they're overrated. So it's the same thing as the Broncos. I think that, but for my personal opinion, the only reason that I think the Broncos are relatively overrated is because their spine is still tacky. It is. Their spine is still tacky. They've got Adam Reynolds, but their spine is still tacky. It just is what it is. Prove me wrong. Once you prove me wrong, then I will agree with it. If you can prove me wrong and tell me that the spine is an elite spine with Tessie New, probably Albert Kelly, Adam Reynolds, and Jake Turpin. If you can prove to me that spine's good, then I'll tell you the Broncos are guaranteed top 8. Prove it to me. Daz, mate, I love this comment. Says, big year for Xavier Coates now being a Storm. I think it's going to be the best wing in the game at the end of the year. I think he's going to be the number 1 wing in the game, or number 2 behind Brian To'o. But I think he'll be top 2 wingers in the game, and I absolutely think that he's going to have an unbelievable year there at the Storm. We speak about this in the wingers next week as well with Clarkey on the tier rankings, and I couldn't say anything more positive about this man. I think Xavier Coates is going to have an unbelievable year. We'll go for 17 more minutes here, guys. We'll go for an hour and a half. It is what it is. Like I said, we do what we want here. We do what we want, baby. We do what we want. It's not a Tuesday night. What else are you doing on Tuesday night? John West Trinidad says, who is more overhyped, Broncos or Bulldogs? I would probably say It's tough, man. Like I said, based on what I just said, maybe the Broncos. But in the same sense, Bulldogs fans are thinking top four. I don't think Broncos fans think top four. Oh, we saw one, nut job before say Broncos top four, but I don't think overall Broncos fans think top four. I think overall most Broncos fans think they're contending for the eight. Is what I would personally say. So I would say probably the Dogs on that argument, but still. Khalil says, how do you see the Dogs going this year? Yeah, I just kind of answered that question. But yeah, I think the Dogs are probably, they'll still push, but I still probably say around 10th because I think Trent Barrett's terrible. I honestly could be lower. I'm not going to lie. I still could see them in the bottom four. I think their floor is still in the bottom four because Trent Barrett's a horrible coach. They have no defense and their spine and their whole team is still a bit thrown together. So although they've got decent players, they're all kind of thrown together. Adokar was irrelevant in the All-Stars game the other night because he didn't get the ball. Okay, so if he's not getting the ball in the All-Stars game, then are you sure he's not going to get the ball? He's going to get the ball at the Bulldogs when Nick Cottridge kind of relatively ruined his career to an extent by going to the Dogs and not getting the ball. And now he's gone back to the Raiders. So if Adokar's struggling in an All-Stars game, then is he going to get the job done in the Doggies game? And, you got Burton. Okay, cool. And you've got Dufty there. Yikes. Jake Averillo. Shit. Like that's the thing. Like they've got a couple of players here and there, but I still could see them bottom four and disappointing the shit out of Doggies fans. I could still see it, man. Alex's vlog says Teddy has played for Italy, but probably won't play for them this time. You'd probably say he'd want to win. He'd probably say he'd want to win the World Cup and not get beaten by 50 ever again. Is what I would say. David Kahn says, did you get an NRL membership for the Gold Coast Titans this year, bro? I have a membership at the Titans every single year. I've never not had a membership for the Titans. Thunder Nation says, does Mitch Moses cement his spot as the second best halfback in the world in 2022? I know exactly who you are. Khalil says, Patrick Herbert looking good. Patrick Herbert looked fantastic. Dude, I actually thought he was the MVP of that All-Stars game. I thought he was unbelievable, dude. He was fantastic for the Māori All-Stars. And I'm looking forward to seeing Paddy Herbert. I think he's super underrated now as well because of that one pass. People look at him for that one pass that he didn't make. And I think that people are going to realize this year that he's a lot better than what people have been, giving him credit for because of that one lack of pass. Copter says, how much for a slab of beer in Fiji? It's not much. It's like $55, $55 Fijian, which is, do the math, probably like $30 Australian. I think it is. Something like that. Xavier Brown says, name one player that will make the play for the year. Make a play of the year. Make it the play of the year. Probably Xavier Coates. I'm probably backing Xavier Coates to be that guy to get that job done. Till Chunga says, as a Broncos fan, I've already read that comment. Oh no, sorry, I haven't. As a Broncos fan, I think they'll probably finish 9 and 12. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good prediction. I think most Broncos fans are under the belief of you. I think most Broncos fans, because I actually think that there is probably a good 25% of Broncos fans who actually know what they're talking about. And there's a 75% of them who don't actually follow the Broncos, but because they're in Brisbane, they pretend to follow the Broncos. And then when they're doing shithouse, they're not there. And then when they're doing good, they'll turn up. And although that's with every team, I think the Broncos have a probably 75% to 25% change because it's just dramatic. It is dramatically different. It's just simply dramatically different there. It is significantly dramatically different. So, yeah, I think that a lot of the actual Broncos fans that you've seen in the last couple of years, majority of them would have been genuine. Well, maybe not even that. Like, it's not even necessarily that. I still just think at any given time, Brisbane is such a... the Broncos... everyone says that Brisbane have the best... I don't know how to explain this. Everyone says the Broncos have the best supporter base in the country, but it's just blatantly not true. Like, it's just not. They've got a great supporter base, but I've also, they get 28,000 average crowds. Okay, cool. Well, what about 5-6 years ago when they were getting, on average, nearly 40,000 crowds? So, and now I think the lowest crowd they got one time was 24,000 in a city that has a one team. New South Wales has about 150 billion teams. Brisbane is its own city with a massive population. Like, no shit, they've got a huge population that go to their games. But it's still, considering the population, like there is a lot of... Anyway, I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but point of the matter is that most Broncos fans who actually know what they're talking about probably agree with you. But there's still a ceiling of being in the top 8. Tommy says, if the Titans win the premiership, you're going to shout beers for everyone. Mate, you're shouting beers for me if the Titans win the premiership. Your shout beers for me. The Titans win the premiership. Copter says, I wish Eels let Gutherson go. Why? 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 He's like the soul of your club. He's like the soul of your club, man. Electrical Dust says, who is the best 3 players on ground in the multiverse Indigenous game? I've got Patrick Herbert. I've got, I've forgotten kind of a bit of that game. That'd be fair. I'll go Patrick Herbert as the number 1 for me. Who else had a good game? I can't remember. Patrick Herbert was the guy that really... I know there was a couple of... Jesse Ramey was very good for me. I actually really like Jesse Ramey. Might be an underrated selection there, but I thought Jesse Ramey had a fantastic game. He actually usually has a good game there for the Sharky for the All Stars. He usually always puts in a bit of an effort there. And here's another one. Who's another one there that you could argue? Probably like a Nico Hines or a Tarpanay or something like that. But yeah, I would definitely say Paddy Herbert, and for me personally, Jesse Ramey were the top 2. JC Walters says Aaron Donald stronger than anyone in the NRL. Don't disagree. Sniper Scar said, I think the Rays are the most unpredictable team in the NRL. Yeah, they could easily, well, maybe not easily come top 4, but they could definitely ceiling top 4, but floor of not top 4 and not top 8, and floor of 11th, in my personal opinion. Yeah. Darren Daniel says the Panthers' biggest bandwagon team. No, that will always lie with the Parramatta Eels. Electrical Dust says Ray, and I don't want to hear nobody. Tell me that the Parramatta Eels are not the biggest bandwagon team in the NRL by a long way. Electrical Dust says Raiders have the highest ceiling and floor in the NRL. Whoa! The Raiders do not have the highest ceiling by any means. They have a floor of about 11, but hold on a second, big fella. The Panthers have a higher ceiling than the Raiders. The Sharks have a higher ceiling. The Storm have a higher ceiling. The Rabbitohs have a higher ceiling. The Eels have a higher ceiling than the Rays. I would go as far as say the Titans have a higher ceiling than the Rays, but I think the Rays are consistently, on a consistent level, probably a more safer option for out of the Titans and the Sharks to make top 4. But I think that the Titans and the Sharks have a bigger ceiling than the Raiders. And I think that a majority of teams in that top 8 that I've mentioned definitely have a bigger ceiling than the Rays. But the Rays have a decent ceiling. But whoa, whoa, relax, man, relax, calm down. Sniper Scars, I live in Brisbane and go over the Rays in the last 2 years. I have support them more than ever. What? You go over the Rays in the last 2 years. Why do you go over the Raiders if you're from Brisbane? Get around your local team. Unless there's a reason, unless you've moved into Brisbane in the last 2 years and you're from Canberra. Electrical Dust says Rays is the most range where they can be in the ladder next season compared to any other team. Oh, okay. That clarifies what you're saying a bit more. That clarifies it a little bit more. Yes, there is probably the most significant drastic difference between what their ceiling is compared to what their floor is. I thought you were saying who has the highest ceiling. I was like, well, no, no, that's not. They're definitely not the highest ceiling. But overall, yeah, they have the most drastic distance between their floor and their ceiling, in my personal opinion. Yeah. We'll go for 8 more minutes here, guys. John West, Tuna Lad says, which teams would you personally want to see fail this year, and which teams would you want to see succeed? I don't want anyone to fail. Obviously, the more you create content, the more you get into the game as an overall level, the more you don't necessarily have hatred towards any team. But if I'm going to say, due to the fans, on this channel specifically, we do streams. Everyone who might be new here, we do live streams for every single game, right? And we talk to you guys throughout the game. We have a lot of Muppets. We have a lot of dickheads that come out of the woodwork to talk shit. So if I'm going to base it on the dickhead amount in this chat, not this chat, but on streams, I would say 1 Parramatta and I would say 2 probably Broncos. But in the same sense, I would be happy for either of those teams they win. But to answer this question, based on Muppets in streams, it'd be Parramatta and the Broncos. But I don't have any dislike really overall for those 2 teams. But the band is always going to be there. The band is always going to be there. And 2 teams to succeed, well, Titans and Sharks. Titans and Sharks. I would love to see the Broncos. Look, I'm not going to lie. A healthy Brisbane is a healthy NRL. A healthy Brisbane is a healthy NRL. And that's a fact. You know, as much as you can dislike Brisbane all you like, a healthy Brisbane is a healthy NRL. A healthy Parramatta is a healthy NRL. A healthy... Who else? Nice. Newcastle is a healthy NRL. There's different teams in different areas that usually are the big uppers. Like, I don't really think if the Dragons or the Sharks necessarily are successful, that it means it's a healthy NRL. So it does differentiate. I don't just think that every single team is like that. Like, I don't really think that New Zealand Warriors being good is necessarily a healthy NRL. But it's great because obviously we get the whole New Zealand coming out of the woodwork to tell us that they've been supporting them for the last ever. Someone says the Broncos more than ever. Tommy says, what do you say to someone who was born and raised in Sydney and supports Melbourne Storm? Well, they're a Muppet. But that's their choice. Like, if they want to support that, well, they're a Muppet. But in the same sense, like, stupid, but cool. You do you, man. Like, who am I to tell you who to support? If you feel like want to support somebody who you're not from, then cool. That's your choice, man. But I think you're a Muppet. Tilchunga says, Shaq impressed me in the All-Stars match, but he wasn't top 3. Shaq. Are you talking about Mitchell? I'm not even too sure. I could be all over the shop there. I thought when you said Shaq, I was thinking, Shaq? Shaquille O'Neal? What's going on here? JC Walters says, who wins week 1, Cowboys or Bulldogs? I think it's in North Queensland, and I think I'm probably going to go with the Cowboys, but I don't know. I think the Bulldogs, their first 6 rounds are Cowboys, Broncos, and then like the Storm, Manly, Rabbitohs, and Panthers. So if they don't go 2-0, they're going to be, if they go 0-2 in the first 2 games, they're going to be 0-6. So bye-bye Trent Barrett if that's the case, and bye-bye any hopes of the top 8 if that is what happens. So they need to win that Cowboys game, and they need to win the Broncos game right after that. Jay Hayes says Cowboys smash. JC Walters says, where do you see the Titans finishing? Between 5th and 10th. Between 5th and 10th. But right now, off the top of my head, I'm backing them in higher than people have got them. I've got them in 6th. Oh, probably 7th, to be honest with you. Big Bubba says, do you reckon Bennett? But I said, I'll do my preview week before the season, and I'll actually go through it and figure out. Because I was very close last year. I was closer than most last year in regards to the top 8 in the end. The only team that I missed in the top 8 was I had the Raiders, and I didn't have Manly. I had Manly in 9th, and I had Raiders in 4th. That was the only change. Oh, no, Raiders in 5th. That was the only top 8 team that I missed last year. People says, do you reckon Bennett will poach some of your Titans? No, because most of the guys have already been signed up, and most of the guys have got the contracts lined up right now. I think if anyone's going to get poached, it's going to be the Rabbitohs, and I think if anyone's going to get poached, it's going to be the Broncos. And probably the Warriors if they're going to go down that path of going and looking towards Callum Ponga. Not Callum. Callum Ponga too, but Reece Walsh if that thing is a potential. Someone's guy says, it's like you go for Geelong. All my family goes to the Rays because they love South and Brisbane and all their players went to Canberra. So the thing with me and Geelong is that nowadays I'm starting to get around the Sunnies a bit more too because of the reasoning I got behind Geelong. And there'll be a video that comes out with the How I Became series that I do in regards to how I became a Geelong fan. But the more I'm getting on here, the more I'm actually also wanting to see the Suns be a bit more successful than Geelong, even though that's not going to happen anytime soon. Because I'm a proud Gold Coast man, like I love my hometown. I'll always be a Geelong Cats fan, but in the same sense, I am still getting a lot more around the Sunnies than I have previously. So yeah, but that'll all be explained in the How I Became a Geelong Cats fan. Which video will come out probably in about 2-3 weeks time. John Western Lad says, do you think the NRL will get better or worse in terms of quality in the future? Better. I think it'll get better. I think the people are always going to be negative, and I think the people are always going to say that the game is going downhill, and I'm always going to disagree with them because I think that people always want to find the negatives and they don't look at the positives. They don't look at the growth in regards to social media. Look, I do think the NRL are poor in regards to how they treat content creators and people out there who even just small-time kids who are just posting highlights. I get in the sense of copyrighted footage and whatnot in regards to a live game. But when it's little kids making highlight packages of rugby league players who they appreciate and are advertising for free, that is not impacting your copyright. And if Channel 9 thinks that's impacting the copyright, well, then they're moronic because everyone in every American sporting organization, you're able to do it. Even the AFL, you're able to do it. The only sport in the world it's 2, boxing and NRL. So that's my only problem with the NRL. Besides that, if they weren't so strict with their copyright, I'm never going to show you game footage. But if they weren't so strict in their copyright, they would have a lot more of the younger kids getting behind it because, unfortunately, people aren't allowed to support the game as much as they would normally with other sports because they're not allowed to. That's my only issue. That's my only issue. Jay Hayes says, thanks for the warm welcome, Blaze. NMNL says, coming from a Newcastle supporter, what makes Para the biggest bandwagon team when they have lacked ultimate success for 36 years and had the most spoons in the past decade? The reason being, and I'll answer this for you. The reason being is because In 2015, when they had the wooden spoons, as you just said, they had absolutely no one go to their games. And I could not point out an Eels fan anywhere. You go to Sydney, and I can tell you right now, you just don't see an Eels fan anywhere. You could not pick an Eels fan absolutely any part of Australia. And then in 2019, maybe it was when they started getting good again, or 2018, 2019, I think is when they started getting good again. Or 20, it was one of the two. Everyone was an Eels fan. Everyone was an Eels fan. I've never seen so many Eels fans in my life. I've never seen so many NRL fans in my life from that area. It's like Parramatta have a long history in regards to where they're from. But shit me drunk and call me Stacey. The amount of people that came out of nowhere to back in the Parramatta bandwagon was wild. The Sharks were the same in 2016, mind you. Don't you worry. The Sharks fans, don't you think that you're off you guys are off chops too. Don't you worry. But to answer that question, Parramatta, there was not a single fan to be seen 6 years ago. And now, and I guess there's always going to be a part of that that's going to be happening with all the teams in rugby league and all the teams in sport, but it was just so much more prominent with the Eels because the Panthers, they stuck through, and the Gold Coast Titans will eventually be one of these teams when they're good because besides me and others, like a small fraction of others, there hasn't been a crazy amount of people that have been there. I remember when there was a crowd 5,000 that I was at. So, I can insult my team too. I know that we're going to have a big bandwagon audience this year and next year and going on. There's parts of the Broncos that you can make an argument for with the drastic dip in the crowd numbers from 2011 to now, which is about a 10K drop off on average. So, but to answer your question on Parramatta, that's why. That, my friend, is why. Mr. Lachlan says hello. Hello, sir. All right, we're going to do 3 more because we've gone for an hour and a half now. We're going to do 3 more. Like I said, guys, this is every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. AEDT. So chuck your notification bell on. And if you haven't checked out the team makers yet, we've already done the fullbacks. We've done the halfbacks. We've done the front rows. We've done the centers. And we've done one more as well, which is locks. That's what we've done so far. That's what we've done. So, if you haven't checked those out, go and check them out. But we'll do 3 more. We're going to do 3 more here. Electrical Dust says, I live near so many Eels fans and know many of them. They get so annoying and cringe. Yeah, we'll tune into one of our streams when a Parramatta Eels game is on, and you will see the fun. You will see the fun. Next one here. So we got 2 more. 40-0 says James Seguiaro thoughts. I wonder if that 40-0 is referencing the 2008 grand final. But look, I think Seguiaro is a pretty exciting player. I don't think I don't think him coming back is going to do anything crazy special. Like, I'm not here to insult him, but I don't think that there's going to be a major kind of resurgence, which some people seem to believe. But I definitely think that Seguiaro can still be quite that exciting player that we've seen in previous years. And come back and give a bit of spice and give a bit of pace to the game. So, yeah, look, I don't have any problems with James. I like I said, I don't think he's going to be on that upper echelon area, but I definitely think he can provide something to a team that is that is different maybe to a lot of what other players can do right now. So, no, I'm looking forward to seeing sorry, still give it Jobson's comment. I'm looking forward to seeing what James can do if he can obviously, really try and put himself into a good position to lock down a spot there with the team. Is he the Broncos? Was it the Broncos that put him onto a contract, or was it Queensland? I can't remember. But all I know is that there is some news around James Seguiaro, and I definitely didn't mind him. But yeah, look, it's still. Don't expect a great deal, but definitely expect him to get the job done for wherever he goes there. All right, one more comment here. We'll go to one more comment. Shoot through. Oh, here we go. Maybe. Oh no, we won't do that one. I will show this one though. This isn't the question that I'm going to put up. This isn't the question. The last question. But Cooper Johnson says, "Try being a Parramatta fan." Electrical Dust. I say this all the time. There are 4 teams that I have in the same boat. There are 4 teams I have in the exact same boat, and that is the Parramatta Eels. Whether you guys want to tell me or not, you guys are part of this group. But it's the Parramatta Eels, it's the West Tigers, it's the Gold Coast Titans, it's the New Zealand Warriors. Those 4 teams are the hardest 4 teams to support, guaranteed. Anyone who says otherwise is just wrong. Sharks would have been there. You could even argue the Sharks, but Sharks would have been there until 2016. But at least they've won something in the last 5-6 years. I guess if you're a 60-year-old, then Sharks are definitely one of the hardest teams to support. But those 4 teams, I've always got them in the same little area, for struggle city. So Manly Blacktown Workers, 40-0 says. That's the one. Yeah, Manly Blacktown Workers. Well, I'd love to see him, move and groove. I'd love to see him move and groove. And I think he'll be able to tear up that, the New South Wales Cup. I think he'll be able to tear up down in one of those competitions there. Alrighty, so one last one here. Okay, we'll answer this one. Sorry, David Carnes says he's time with the Blacktown Workers Eagles. Yeah, there you go. Last question here is, who do you think will have a bad year? From Mitchell Vella. A bad year. Okay, so I'm gonna use this question, and I'm gonna say in the sense of who will be the most disappointing this year based on the expectations that people have. I will maybe say, I might go as far to say the Rabbitohs. And the reason being is because Rabbitohs fans still expect top 4. And although they still definitely could make top 4, it's still going to be tentative with the fact that their halfback situation in Lachlan Ilias. I think Ilias, yeah, like I said before, I think Ilias is a player that I haven't seen too much of, but has wraps on him. If he's playing in the competition, then that means he's good enough. But he's coming in and he's got expectations alongside Cody Walker, Damien Cook, and Latrell Mitchell. Like, that's a pretty hectic spine. And if you're not playing well in that spine and with their back line, their forward line's a bit how you're going, but their back line and that spine, you need to be really working well. And with that new coach too, not Wayne Bennett, yeah, it's a bit up and down. It's a bit how you're going. And I don't know. That's the one that I think potentially could be the biggest disappointment. And Electrical Dust, I agree. It could be like a 6-7 kind of area. It could be a 6-7 area. But Chase Gill says, I'm a Tigers fan and it's tough. We're going to leave it with that one. We're going to leave with that one there, guys. We're going to end this week's podcast with I'm a Tigers fan and it is tough, because it is. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Obviously, this is going to be every single Tuesday. We do team makers and content every single day, so get around it. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Obviously, don't forget, follow us on Instagram, BKRsport. We've got this as well. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever used this platform, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'll definitely be reading comments on the video afterwards. So let me know on the comment section afterwards what you thought of this new style and if you like it. And yeah, I'm keen for the trials this weekend. Next week on Tuesday, we'll definitely speak about all the trials and what we thought. I'll probably watch a majority of the games, to be honest with you. Probably all of the games. But Super Rugby is on too, so it's going to be a very, very hectic, very, very hectic time. But I appreciate you as always. Like I said, thumbs up, subscribe. And if you're a BKRsport USA fan, you like USA sport, don't forget to check out the second channel for all American content that starts up there in 2 weeks. Alrighty, guys. Appreciate you. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.